Tom, how important is it for Barack Obama to have prominent Republicans, if not in cabinet postings in the administration, in the family of Obama as he goes forward?
You know, Tom, I think that's important. Obviously, having a woman Secretary of State would be important. But I'd step back and say, what are the unique conditions right now that actually should affect the actual job qualifications of the next Secretary of State? And for me, I'd want a bankruptcy specialist. Because I think the next Secretary of State's biggest job is going to be managing weakness, not strength. Managing the weakness of Russia, managing the weakness of China. I might go back to George Bush Sr., Brent Scowcroft. Hey, guys, what was it like to manage the collapse of the Soviet Union? Because I think the biggest problem in the next couple of years, given this financial crisis, is going to be managing the weakness of some of the big players in the world, not their strength.
I love the fact that the Secretary of State has now become Madam Secretary of State almost by default, that you have this title that's been put in front of it. One of the things that interested me about the whole floating of the Hillary argument and whether she's going to be offered this job or not, and we don't know whether she's been offered this job or not, is why did they do it like this? Having had this flawless campaign almost in terms of discipline and management for 2 years, what does it gain them by putting Hillary Clinton's name out there as even a possibility in this public way? Because if she's not now offered the job, you have a lot of her supporters who have got very excited in the last couple of days about the idea of Madam Secretary. And I'm not quite sure how politically this advantages them, because they've slightly boxed themselves into a corner where they have to offer it to her now.
Let me just say that they were not eager to put it out. This was not floated as a trial balloon, and her own people rigorously refused to even comment on it, refused to even confirm that she was in Chicago for the meeting. So that's not the way it did come out. It was something that evolved over the course of about 10 days of reporting. But that said, it shows a certain largeness of spirit. The team of rivals, our colleague and friend Doris Kearns Goodwin, he certainly has said repeatedly during the campaign and since that he believes in this notion. He has John McCain coming tomorrow to Chicago. That is a very important step, they say, that he sees John McCain as his colleague and partner on a number of issues, climate change and others, in the Senate. You almost see John McCain potentially emerging as more of a partner than Mitch McConnell, right now the Senate Republican leader, with Barack Obama. He really believes in this. There are others who have been mentioned, Chuck Hagel, and we know Bob Gates at Defense, and other Republicans, his good friend Dick Lugar, who has not been persuaded to come to the State Department so far. So he really sees this in a very bipartisan way, in the true spirit of that. And that's the approach that Obama and his advisors believe he has to take to solve these problems.
Briefly, do you think the future of the Republican Party is much more in the hands of Bobby Jindal, the governor of Louisiana, and Tim Pawlenty, the governor of Minnesota, than it is in the people in the Senate in Washington?
I do, and I think it's more in their hands, frankly, than Sarah Palin's. From her performance at the Republican governors in Miami, she was not substantive. They were. They brought things to the table. And these problem-solving issues, as our friend David Broder has often mentioned, they come up in the state houses. These are the laboratories. It's so rare. It's not been since John F. Kennedy that we've had a president-elect from the Senate. But
Jindal or Pawlenty, with all due respect, though, can't advance this party if they do not learn how to play on a larger stage in the most multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic America ever. Women, youth, they've got to learn to play on a larger stage, and they haven't shown they can do that as yet.